Hey YouTube, it's AR here once again with another follow along drawing instructional video. And today, it being October, late October, where I am in the United States, we celebrate Halloween at the end of the month. So everyone around me is really getting into the spirit of ghosts and ghouls and goblins. And for that reason, I decided that today I would give my hand, or I would try my hand at drawing a werewolf. Now, werewolves, being the mythical creatures that they are, come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and flavors and demeanors. I wanted to draw a relatively scary and frightening werewolf. So if you're under a certain age, this video may not be appropriate. There could be some gore and just frightening creatures involved, so you've been advised. For everyone else that likes their werewolves nice and scary, this may be the video for you. So to start off with, let me just make clear that I'm not talking about the werewolves that actually look like a wolf, like a dog. I'm referring more to the anthropomorphic werewolves that actually stand on two legs, or are bipedal, if you want to use the biological term. So with that in mind, I want this to be a two-legged werewolf, and I want him to be in a really dynamic pose, and have him really about to get into some action. So I don't draw werewolves every day, so this there probably will be a lot of trial and error involved in this video, and the corollary to that, there very well may be lots of time lapse as I go about detailing certain things. So to begin, like I said, I want this to be a really dynamic pose, so I'm just kind of gesturing in the manner that I want him to to be doing his thing. And unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, excuse me, we don't have much in the way of reliable werewolf anatomy references to learn from. Real world references, I should say. You can find lots of imagined references online. So in a sense, I'm sort of winging it. And if you're drawing werewolves on your own, that's actually good news, because it means that pretty much whatever you do, it's not going to be wrong. The werewolf police aren't going to come after you complaining that you misrepresented werewolf anatomy. So what I want to have happen here is I want my wolf to be flying through the air, leaping as it were, in preparation to really strike down with these huge, ripping, tearing claws. And this isn't just going to be some run-of-the-mill Harvey Milquetoast werewolf. This guy, he's going to be pretty big and buff and muscular. And as we know, that's the scariest kind of werewolf of them all. They're already a pretty strong species. Now I'm just getting the blocking and tackling in of how I want his limbs positioned. I think it might work best if we just have like a straight overhand clawing motion, kind of like he's dunking a basketball. And I'll worry about the detailing of the claws a little bit later. And I want his neck and head to really be down into it. I'm getting into drawing the head here. And I don't want to make the head too big. I really want to give a sense of the scale of the massiveness of his body by not overpowering it with the size of the head. So the head doesn't really have to be all that huge. Now I need to figure out what this other arm here should be doing. Maybe just have it poised. But this left one here, it's not really the slashing arm. It's kind of just more of a just hanging out here. Alright, I dare say that I've got a good foundation here, or at least a decent foundation, and we can go ahead and start blocking off some of these major body parts, filling them in. Now, one thing you ought to know about werewolves, or at least this particular type of werewolf, is that they, even though they stand on two legs, they share much of the leg anatomy with dogs, with canines. So they've got these paws for feet, and I'll go ahead and give him a little dew claw right there. But where the heel would be on you or me, it's actually this other joint. So it's almost like you have a knee and then this reverse knee, which is actually where the heel would be. So just keep that in mind when you're drawing wolves of your own. And we're going to give this wolf some torn pants. It's sort of like the Incredible Hulk effect, you know, when once you transform, you rip out of your clothes, or most of your clothes, but since there may be young ones in the room, or you may be on TV, in the case of the Hulk, you can't just be dangling all out in the open, so you gotta give him pants. And my aim is to keep this program as PG as possible, while still giving the people what they want. So we'll compromise and just give him some pants for now. And we will continue to detail these legs. Now, this right leg is kind of in your face. So the paw area is going to be a bit larger. It's going to be exaggeratedly large. And that's simply to reflect the fact that as he's leaping, this particular limb is kind of in the viewer's face. So it's real wide at the top, and it sort of narrows as it recedes further back. Let's not forget his paw pads. And those will warrant a little bit of additional detail later. Okay, so our lower body, oh, don't forget the dew claw. Alright, so our lower body is pretty much in okay shape. I can clean some of that stuff up later. Let's go to work on the upper body. And this is a pretty lean werewolf here, so we're going to give him kind of the faintest outline of abs. Give him a little bit of fur on the chest here. And indicate that he's really stretching to get that claw up there. We'll give him some added definition in the serratus muscles, which cover the ribs. And we really want to make that fur on his back really coarse. And make this arm that's rearing back, getting ready to strike. I'm gonna make that nice and thick and muscular. Find the bicep and forearm. And of course give a little bit of fur. Don't need to go too crazy lest we obscure the musculature, which we definitely don't want. Now, for everyone's favorite, the hands. Now I'm making these knuckles just a little bit pronounced, because one thing I've noticed in pictures of scary creatures is that they typically have those really bony looking knuckles, and I guess that just makes them look all the more frightening when you show that they don't have much fat to spare on their fingers. Okay, so I might go in later and play with this a little bit, but for now let's move on and get the rest of this guy squared away. Now, wolf ears aren't all that big, but for werewolves, you really want to make them scary. In my experience, it's helpful if you draw the ears really tall. Just give them these little tufts on the end. And for my money, that ups the fear factor by a big margin. And then we want to just frame his face with a little bit of more fur, and also start to draw in the snout here. This is the real business end. Besides the claws, you really want to worry about what's underneath those snarling lips. And I'm going to make a little adjustment here because I really want to get this upper lip really bearing some fang here. And I also want to be sure that we show the gum. Show where the teeth insert. And see if we can't do the same on the bottom here. And then just add some wrinkles into the snout area, and make sure that we get a little bit of black around the lips. And it probably wouldn't hurt if we maybe broke out our eraser and gave us some breathing room to add a little bit of slobber. You know, all that saliva is not a good sign, because it means that whatever he's got his sights focused on, he intends to be dinner, pretty much. Okay, so let's go into the eye area. And I'm actually not going to get too detailed in the eyes. Now, if you look at real wolf's eyes, they've got beautiful eyes that are either blue or green and really haunting. But I don't want to give him that effect. I want these eyes to be really blank and look otherworldly. So I'm not even going to put an iris in there. Maybe some wrinkles and some eye bags. Otherwise, that's about it. And then fill the rest of this in with some fur. I don't know if you can see that. And to wrap up, let's get his right arm sorted out. There's right claws. Actually, our right, his left. Hands usually aren't my favorite part of the body to draw, but what I have found is the more I do of it, the easier it gets. Certain positions still give me trouble, and I'm by no means the world's greatest hand drawer, but they don't have to be the bane of your existence. If you just practice it over time, you can and will get better at it. And we just want to add a little bit of musculature to these arms, a little bit of shading. And get the fuzz going. Alright, so the final step here would be to shade this, and for that I'm going to flick the time-lapse switch real quick, and then I'll be back in just a few. Alright, so welcome back. That wasn't too bad of a time lapse, I hope, for those of you who take umbrage to the usage of time lapse. By the way, if you do, you can feel free to send me I don't know, $100 or so for a 2 terabit hard drive. That way I can store these videos and make them as long as anyone wants to. In the meantime, until then, we'll all have to suffer, as it were, with the use of time-lapse video. Can't imagine why anyone would want to sit through watching the actual shading details, but apparently there are people who find that useful and helpful. And by that comment, I by no means wish to disparage those individuals. In fact, your interest is greatly appreciated. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the basics of our werewolf. I might go in later and turn this into a full-fledged scene, and maybe go into greater detail, zoom in on his face when I go into digital mode, and add a few details there. Otherwise, that, my friends, is your werewolf for Halloween. If you happen to be a trick-or-treater, please be safe. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you have my great appreciation. Thanks again, and until next time, keep drawing.